darling, welcome to my blog .stampwithelaine.com. Do you love pigs? Because if you do, this stamp set is made for you. I'm featuring lots of techniques with this card, including extending the stitched square shaped framelit die to make a rectangle, and also a new embossing folder and watercolouring. Let's gather our supplies. Now this stamp set is available in wood mount as well. In wood mount they will supply the box, but in clear mount you will have to have some clear blocks. I've mounted mine on a D block, and I tend to do a bit of surgery on my clear mount stamps because I won't always want the sentiments that come with it in my image. So what I've done is I've actually separated the wording, otherwise it's actually one stamp. And the advantage of it being clear mount is that you can just join the stamp together again and make it whole, and you can stamp as normal, and it means I can mix and match my sentiments. So I've taken the Hogs and Kisses, sorry, and I've mounted it on a small G block. Card base is in Blushing Bride. This has been cut at 8 1/4 by 5 7/8. That's 21 centimeters by 14.9 centimeters. And then you score at 4 1/8 and then fold it in half. 4 1/8 in metric is 10.5 centimeters. I have a piece of crumb cake which has been cut at 5 1/2 by 3 3/4. That's 14 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters, and that will go onto your card base like so. I have a piece of watercolor paper which has been cut at 2 7/8 by 5 1/8. In centimeters, that's 7.3 by 13 centimeters. This is the card we'll be making, so you can see there's a lot of techniques in there. We'll need the stitched shapes framelit dies. I'm using the largest one. Stampin' Up no longer carries stays on ink, so we'll have to use basic black archival stamping ink. You need to heat emboss it as well to make it permanent, so that the colours won't run. This card uses rather a lot of inks. It's Soft Sky, So Saffron, Blushing Bride, Pink Pirouette, Wild Wasabi, Crumb Cake and Soft Suede. Using the new Pinewood Planks Dynamics textured embossing folder. Here, faceted gems, these are new. Classic label punch, the new mini Stampin' Dimensionals, the Big Shot magnetic platform, and the plates. First, take the crumb cake piece and sandwich it in the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. To make your embossing sandwich with the thick dynamic embossing folder, you don't need the thin die adapter. You just use the basic Big Shot platform, place your embossing folder directly onto the platform, followed by the top plate, and then you're ready to run it through the Big Shot. So I'll do that off camera. Can you see that? It doesn't leave as deep as an impression as the ruffle one that I featured last week, and I think I prefer the deboss side to the emboss side. You can use either, but I'm going to be using the debossed side. So take your crumb cake ink pad and hold it at a 45-degree angle and just run it across. Let me get some scratch paper. Run it across your cardstock. Set that aside to allow it to dry properly. Next we want to cut our frame, so we use the largest of the stitched square framelit dies, base cutting plate, your cardstock. Now this has been deliberately cut so that it actually sits flush with the stitch shapes framelit. So what you want to do is position that toward the bottom of your magnetic platform, and you only put the platform shy of the bottom cutting edge of the die, and then you're ready to run it through the big shot. So I'll do that off camera. As you can see, it's cut half of it. Now you slide the die to the bottom of the other uncut side, and you repeat it. This time you want this side to cut, but not this side, the middle of the die. In the middle of the paper you don't want to cut through, so you place the cutting plate shy of this edge here, and then you're ready to run it through the big shot. So again, I'll do that off camera. A little bit that might not have cut through completely, you can just snip off with a pair of scissors. Now I'm going to prepare my work surface ready for spritzing, but before I do that I need to ink up my piggy image. I need a bit of sticky tape here because I need to mask off the grass. I don't know whether you can pick that up. I've just used ordinary sellotape and cut them into bits to cover the grass bit. Then I'll ink up the image, and you need to remember to take off the sticky paper before you stamp. So I'll stamp that toward the top of the watercolour paper. Press down firmly because the watercolour paper, it has an uneven surface. I'm quite happy with that. Next I'll ink up this image with the archival black ink again, and I want it in the centre of his head, so I'm going just to do that by eye. Oh, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I have to heat set it because we don't have any stays on ink anymore. Next we spritz it with water to dampen the paper. About 15 squirts. Start with the lightest colour first, and I'm using a clear block. We'll start with Soft Sky, and you can either squeeze the lid to apply the ink, or a less messy method would be just to pick up the ink from a clear block, use your aqua painter to pick up the ink from there. Clean my brush. Pick up some pink pirouette to paint the pig. And I sort of stay well within the lines because with the watercolour paper being wet, it will bleed and spread. So if you don't want the colours to run into one another, then if you paint well within the lines, then it won't do that. Clean my block, pick up the ink from Blushing Bride, clean my aqua painter and do a bit of shading. So in the ears, I want the inside the ears a bit darker, under his chin, under his arms. Clean my brush again. I've cleaned my block. Now I'm going to pick up some wild wasabi. I need to wet my paper a little bit. Clean the aqua painter again. Clean the block. I'm going to pick up a little bit of crumb cake on that side and soft suede on this side. Bring my brush, start with the crumb cake. Then with the darker bit. Lastly, just the flower. Oh dear, I've forgotten the stem. So let's do the stem and the leaf. And I've forgotten the trotters. Bring the heat tool back and dry it off slightly. Tape on the back. Bring back our embossed layer, take off the backing strip. We're ready to glue it onto our card front layer. Bring in my sentiment, Hugs and Kisses. I'll stamp that in archival black. That in, and I want a tag at the end. So what I'll do is cut this side first and then slide it across, punch the other end rather, just snip that off a tiny bit. Now I've already put double-sided tape on the back of this crumb cake layer, so now it's ready to adhere to my card front. And I want to leave an even border all round. Newest addition, mini glue dots. I love them because then you don't have to cut them in half. They just fit perfectly onto the back of your tab. There we go. And last thing to do is put a little clear faceted gem on in the middle of that flower. So with watercolouring, no two will look the same. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial and all the extra hints and tips. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe or share on Facebook, and my grateful thanks if you do. If you're watching from YouTube, you'll find the list of supplies I use below this video in the Show More section with direct links to my online store. They'll also be listed here on my blog.stampwithelaine.com. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with more piggy delights. Bye!